ASMR. Today got another page-turning video where we're going to be going through The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and this is the collector's edition walkthrough. If I hold it up to the side there, you'll be able to read the spine. So, collector's edition strategy guide. I don't buy many strategy guides, but if I see them going cheap, I'll pick them up for sure, which this was one of them. But let's have a flick through. So unfortunately there's no special inlay artwork like some of the guides do, but there's Geralt's medallion there, the wolf medallion, which those that have played the game will know what that's all about. So no table of contents, which is a bit unique. But first we've got an introduction to the characters. We've got the Witches of Kaer Morn, Geralt of Rivia, and Cirilla, Fiona, Ellen, Rhiannon is her full name, but I think most people call her Cirilla. And then there's also Vesemir, Eskel, and Lambert, who are all witches that you'll find along the story. Then we've got the Sorcerers of the Lodge, which I want to say the TV show calls them witches rather than sorceresses, but I could be wrong. I've just finished watching season 3 and I can't say I was very impressed with it, so I think my brain's trying to push out the memory of that last season, if anything. Should really go back and watch the first season because that was so good. We've got Yennefer of Vengerberg, Triss Merigold, Philippa Eilhart, and Kira Metz. And then there's some friends of the Witcher, so friends of your character there. Dandelion, which I'm sure everyone knows from the TV show, Zoltan, and Avalak. And then it just goes on to some of the bad guys in the game as well. But I'm not going to attempt to pronounce their names, they're quite difficult, so I'm not best at speaking English in the best of times, so the Islanders of Skellig. I really wish they'd gone to Skellig in the in the TV show. That would have been a really fun arc, I think. But I mean, The Witcher is such a massive game that it is quite hard to get everything into a TV series unless you're going to give it the budget like of Game of Thrones. But it's Skellig was just it almost felt like a DLC, but it was included in the game. It was just a completely different island with different quests and stuff like that. I've never seen this before. How to use this guide. Welcome to the official guide to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. As you can tell, no stone has been left unturned, or griffin unbludgeoned, in our attempts to provide thorough and informative strategy guide. However, in order for you to receive the most enjoyment from this tome, it is wise to read up on the different chapters and how they relate to each other. Wow, you've got a key on how to use the book. I've not actually gone through this because I bought it when I was playing The Witcher, so I didn't want to spoil anything. I didn't want to spoil any story or anything like that. So, I mean, that's pretty mental. It's telling you about the different quests. Apparently there was a Gwent quest. I think I didn't even do that. I think I missed that. Wow, okay. So it looks like each quest has a critical path, which is essentially the main story quest, but then it has secondary quests, an atlas to show you where you need to be, and then the appendices as well, so it talks about the monsters that you meet. I suppose in a way that's quite cool though, because you could, like normally they just have like a beast, monster bestiary at the end, And it means you've got to keep flicking back and forth, so if they put all that information in the quest, that's not too bad, I suppose. Surviving as a Witcher. That's Kaer Morhen there, that's the Witcher's like home base, home castle. That actually looks pretty what it looks like in the game, to be fair. Surviving as a Witcher. So you got the difficulty settings. I love the names of these, they're always imaginative. Just the story and sword. Blood and broken bones is the hard mode, and then Death March is the dark mode. For the masochistic Witcher who enjoys the taste of his own blood as much as he does the blood of his enemies, expect no mercy, save that you grant yourself by preparing extensively for every major battle you face. And even then it may not be enough. You'll often be staring at a screen that reminds you of what you already know. You died. I think when I played through, I played on Blood and Broken Bones. This game came out before I had kids, so I didn't mind having a bit of stress with my video games. But now now they're there just to relax me, so I'm always on easy mode or normal mode. But back then, if there was a hard mode, I always played it on hard, because I had the time to get used to the game mechanics and stuff like that. Talks about the different movements you can make there on horseback, and remember the horse could like automatically read the road for you, so you didn't have to steer when on a road, and that was pretty cool. Made it a lot easier to traverse some of the terrain. Talks about your Witcher sense. I remember when the game first came out, there was a lot of complaints about the Witcher sense, because it didn't really make things easier. It's meant to highlight important things for you. And when the game first released, it was really like it was almost like a fog. They only highlight stuff when you were super close, but then they changed that eventually. I think they patched it after a week or so. And it made things a lot more clearer. It did essentially what it was meant to do. And they also made it easier for it to pick like flowers and stuff like that, because a lot of people were complaining about that, because it didn't show up flowers and stuff like that. So if there was an item you can harvest, even the Witcher sense didn't pick that up. You just literally had to be over it and pick it up. And I think the improved Witcher sense then showed up harvesting items and stuff like that as well. It goes through the different points of interest there. So what you might find on the map as you're looking through the keys and stuff like that, like bandit camps and smugglers' caches, stuff like that. Abandoned settlements. Tells you how you can loot opponents. Then also goes through potions, which that's a big part of the game. Was brewing potions and making sure you were covered for any situation. I was kind of glad that they do that in the TV show. It shows you actually him drinking the different potions and how it helped him. It's just a shame they didn't do the same with the oils, with the sword. I don't think you saw him in the TV show use an oil, but the oils were super helpful in fighting certain enemies as well. So I could be wrong. I watched them as they came out on Netflix, and I've not gone back to them. So some of the earlier episodes were a good 5 years ago now, probably. Talks about the bombs as well, which he does use the bomb in one episode, I remember that. But the bombs were super useful as well. But you had to do all this sort of preparation work before fighting a big enemy. Otherwise they'd just annihilate you. Like some enemies were invisible, so you had to like throw a bomb with I want to say silver dust in it, so that then you could see them moving through the silver dust. And if you didn't do that, you were just fighting an invisible enemy, and they'd probably slaughter you most of the time. And then there was a potion that you could drink that would make your blood poisonous to vampires, so if one actually grabbed you and tried to bite you, it would deal damage to them instead, because it may turn your blood poisonous for them. But super cool, like, ideas that you don't really see any games do again. Oh, we'll just, we'll block that one there. I forgot about that. They are 18 plus games, so there is a bit of smut in it. I don't think it was too dangerous though, but we won't go into that bit. And then he talks about the weapons that he can use and how he can craft and stuff like that. And then it goes into the combat. It's really detailed. This is a really detailed guide. It's almost like a book rather than bullet points. You could probably sit here and take a good couple of hours to read it. Talks about the different signs that he can learn as well. So that's magic for witches, but witches can't do magic, so they do signs instead, which look a lot like magic. I can't explain it. I'm sure one of the games goes into detail about it, but I don't remember how they explain it. But because another thing as well is that fire magic is considered bad in the world, but he can do ignite, which is a fire sign. So, I don't fully understand it. They call fire magic chaos magic, and it's really powerful and really bad to use. So. There is a part of the game where you get to play as Cirilla as well. Sorry if that's a spoiler for anyone, but it's an old game, so if you haven't played it, go play it. And then goes into the game of Gwent, which was a super fun mini game in the game where you use cards. I actually have a physical Gwent game with the expansions for this game. There was two. There was Iron and Blood. No, was it Iron and Wine? I can't remember now. Blood and Moon and Iron and Wine, I think they were. Something along those lines. I apologise if I'm getting that wrong. But normally DLC, you just pay for it online and you download it. They did physical versions of the DLC where you got two little boxes like this that were essentially two Gwent decks, and if you bought both of them you got all four styles of Gwent deck that you can then use and physically play, and apparently they're worth quite a bit of money now, but I don't plan on selling those because I have played them and I do enjoy them. Maybe I'll do a video on them one day. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see that. But like the DLC was about £6 in the UK, maybe 6 to 12, something like that. And then the special editions were 20, and I just thought for the extra cash to get the physical box and disc with all everything. Sorry, you didn't get a disc, but you got a physical box with all of the Gwent stuff in it. I thought that'd just be really cool to actually, sit down and play a game of Gwent in real life. So, and me and my friends have done that many a time. So, it turned out to be quite the worthwhile investment. But it talks about all the different rules. So you've got like leader cards and hero cards. It's quite funny how they don't. Everyone loves to play Gwent, but then they don't reference the fact that like half the people that you meet are on Gwent cards. Like you don't hear a kid run up to Geralt and go, "Can you please sign my Geralt of Rivia card?" Which I thought would have been like a funny little touch, but I think they do make a joke that Geralt can play with himself, but I don't know. I can't remember. And then it goes into the characters' abilities and development, which is a lot of tables. I remember it being quite in-depth with how you could level up. I mean, like, look at all this. I can't go through all these tables, I'll bore you to sleep. Well, I suppose that's the idea of the video. Not bore you, but put you to sleep at least. So, yeah. I like how they've put some artwork dotted around the book as well. A lot of the times it's just stuck at the back. There's like an extra added bit, but they've actually kept it a bit interesting because, I mean, to be fair, they've got to it a lot of text. But there's some artwork to keep you entertained. So critical path quest, so this is now the story. So I guess I'll put a spoiler warning here. If you've not played The Witcher 3 and you want to play The Witcher 3, I would probably stop the video here because it might go into some details about what happens in the story. But if, you know, I would hope that the people watching this video have played The Witcher. So I'm trying to work out. I want to say that's the starting town that I can't remember the name of. So you start off in a small area where they basically let you get to the grips of the game, and you do different quests and you fight different monsters, and then once you've done some of the quests here, they go, right, here's the full story map. Temeria, that's it. It does say there. The starting area is called Temeria. So you've got a list of your quests here, critical path quests, and then you've got all of these side quests, all in that starting area. I remember one of the quests was you get to fight a griffin, and it's like the first super big enemy that you fight, and that was really fun because it can like fly up and dart down at you. You have to learn how to like dodge it and strike as it goes past and stuff like that. But it shows you like characters that you're going to meet, so it even shows you their face, so you know what you're looking for when you walk into populated towns and stuff like that. That's quite cool. Ah, there you go. That's what you fight. What is it? Yeah, it is a griffin. I thought it was a griffin. But that's what you fight. And that was like a really cool introduction to some of the big monster fights that you can have. There's a picture of Nilfgaard there. And then it goes into Act 1. And this is Velen. So Velen's a worn-torn country. It's a lot of muck and stuff like that, yeah, so. But, yeah, you do. Like the Bloody Baron was one of the more important NPCs. You do some quests for him, and he has a story arc that, you know, has an ending, which is cool. But yeah, they really go into some detail here. But yeah, lots of detail about each quest. I think this act, because the game's split into 3 acts, I think. Or the main game anyway, you got the DLC on top, but I want to say this act ended with the 3 witches. The ladies of the wood. There's 3 witches that are running an orphanage for children in a swamp. It's a more populated town with a port, and this is the sort of first area where you get like a real feel for the scope of the game, because it's got all sorts of different shops to explore and basements and stuff like that, before you're just exploring fields and villages with one tier buildings and stuff like that. But yeah, there's lots for you to do. there's plenty of these side quests that I missed when playing the game. I couldn't even tell you how many hours I put into this game. It is huge. It is not in the stars to hold our destinies, but in ourselves. I remember Priscilla actually. Priscilla was, she had a really famous bit in the game where she sings on stage. That was really quite good. Her and Dandelion sing on stage, I think. It's one of those moments where you stop thinking about the war and the violence and just sit down and relax for a chapter. This is a very big book as well, by the way, so I might have to split it into 2 parts. But yeah, there's a lot of so much detail. It was a very detailed game back when it came out. Yeah, this was like I want to say it was the first real big release for the PS4. Like big as in like a scope. I think you had the Dragon Age Inquisition had definitely come out by this point. But I want to say that this was like the next big RPG. Yeah, then we got Skellige. The best place. Skellige's an island full of druids and red-headed people. They like to party. So, it's always fun. All the quests on this island are fun as well. It is also where the Unicorn Joker comes in as well, which, to those that have watched the TV series, they know what that's about. Skellige here. Then we start Act 2, the Great Battle, which is kind of when the story kicks up a notch. The main quest of the game is to try and find Ciri, or Cirilla. But yeah, you do get to do all of these fun little bits to lead you on your way there. That's really weird because Act 2 is a lot shorter than Act 1. And then we've got Act 3, the Final Age. The main quest, Final Preparations. What that kind of storyline's going to lead to, don't you? I think that's the secret one where, because that's Triss and Yennefer, and through the game you're kind of romancing both of them. You do have the option of actually ending up with either or, and I think there's like a perfect storyline where you can sort of end up with both of them, and then they find out and they punish you. But I ended up, in my game, I ended up with Yennefer. So sorry, I say ended up like it's a bad thing, like me and Yennefer fell in love. And I think Triss goes away somewhere. She goes exploring to an elven island or something like that, I can't remember. I like how they've put a spoiler alert for each chapter as well, like the whole thing's a spoiler alert. So that was the end. And then we now have a whole section on secondary quests, which again you have this massive table to help link them all up. Apparently there's 146 secondary quests, and from what I remember, they aren't short quests either. It's not just like fetch quests or anything like that. Some of them are really long. Apparently 29 of them affect the main story as well. So you can get different outcomes based on the side quests that you do as well. Yeah, it's more of the same here. It's just a lot of detail per quest. Which keep saying which, as in like I'm saying which and then but it's actually talking about The Witcher. A greedy god. This was such a good game when it came out. I remember I played this for a long time. And the people that made it, CD Projekt Red, were, I mean, at the time they were a really good game studio. They gave you like there was free DLC every week for 14 weeks or something like that. Sometimes it was just small things, like you got like a horse armor or something like that, but sometimes you did get new quests and stuff like that as well. So, but yeah, they give you so much included in the game, in the price of the game. Like they gave you a map. There's a special thank you note from the staff. There's all sorts. I think there was like a really thick manual as well. I don't own my copy anymore, unfortunately. I sold it, but it's you know, they gave you a lot of money, and this was back when games were like £40 as well in the UK. Like a brand new PS5 release will cost you up to 70 now. So you know, back in the day before inflation was a thing, games were cheap and you played a lot of them, and now you gotta pick and choose. There's a lot of games that I mean, some games are worth 70 quid, like this. You could argue would have been worth 70 quid at the time, but they probably wouldn't have had as many sales if it was. But the amount of time you get out of it. But then there's some platformers that you can finish in 10 hours, and they're never going to be worth 70 quid in my opinion. So I mean, I remember one of the famous PS4 games was The Order, and it was a game that came out full price, so it was 40 quid like this, but there was people completing the game in 3 hours, and that included cutscenes, and like it looks a really good game. The graphics look amazing, and it looks like a fun shooter with a good story, but there was no way I was paying 40 quid for a game that you can finish that quickly. I mean, and that was people playing it quickly. The average time to complete it was apparently 6 hours, but still. And you can buy a game like this for the same price, why would you? even like it held its price for a bit. I think it's still like a £10 game, which is quite shocking considering how old it is. But I just never, because of that, I never played it. So I'd rather much play an RPG like this that you can sink your teeth into. It looks like I've skipped a bit here now because we're on contracts. So a contract is when you're hired to kill a specific monster, and it's definitely where you find some of the larger monsters in the game. You can't just like walk up to them in the open world and fight them as well, but there's a lot of really cool story-based contracts that were awesome. Because like some of the ones that you hired to contract are actually friendly, and you can choose to help them rather than the humans. So because the famous like tagline for The Witcher was that you only fight monsters, and that could mean that some of the humans were monsters and some of the monsters were more human. So yeah, it was I've not read the book series, but I've read some of the short stories, and the Polish writer that writes the books does a very good job of making Geralt this really like on the fence character when it comes to what's right and wrong, and he's got like a what's the big line that he says in the book? A necessary evil is still evil. That's it. So, and they always talk about justice, and yeah, it's the books that I've read are really good, but I've not read the main set of books yet. I've got those on my to-read list, but I'm terrible when it comes to reading books. I only read about an hour a day, which I don't get to plough through books like some people do. Well, I'll say an hour a day is probably more like half an hour a day at night before I go to bed. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's half an hour, it depends how sleepy I am. But I'm always picking up new books, because books are just ridiculously cheap. And yeah, my backlog just grows and grows. So I probably will start talking about some of my favourite books in another video, just to recommend them as such, really, because there's some series that seem to go under the radar a little bit that should definitely get more attention. So we're on to scavenger hunts now, and these were just like treasure maps and stuff like that, I suppose. The epilogue and endings. So this is massive spoiler territory now. But yeah, this is because you can get different endings in the game depending on who you romanced. If you romanced someone, you don't have to, I don't think. And then there's different endings on depending on who you helped in the story. So I think my ending had Cirilla become a witcher. She was training to become a witcher, and then she eventually becomes one. But what was unique was that you don't see the ending of characters until the actual end of the game. So you would do these quests, and what you did on those quests would depend on their ending, but you wouldn't find that out until the end. So the first one is the Bloody Baron here, and depending on what you do, you can either help him change to become a better man, or he hangs himself in despair because of his situation, because he starts off as being a baron, and then you kind of show him as a bit of a weak leader. And then yeah, it just goes into the different characters here and how their endings. So like one of them was actually the fate of mages, which is what Yennefer is and stuff like that. So yeah, and then you've got the final ending as well. There's 1, 2, say that was my one. The Fate of Geralt. Oh, but there's so there's even like, so that's an ending, but then there's 3 different endings for that one specific ending. Because you can end up with Triss, you can end up with Yennefer, or you can end up by yourself. Which, funnily enough, that's called Forever Alone. Oh no, wait, sorry. I'm remembering now more. These conclusions, there's 5 different conclusions to the final ending, but they each have their own separate ending. So like with Ciri can be dead as the queen, or just alive. I think I had her as just alive. She was becoming a witcher. But yeah, sorry I got that mixed up then. And then we've got the Atlas of the North Realm, so that's actually a world map. So that's Skellige there. And then that's Oxenford, which is the main area that you play in, I think. No, you do all of this, sorry. But you don't go to Novigrad. And Vizima is another area, I think. Yeah, with White Orchard. Right. I've been Foamy ASMR. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Really helps the channel grow. And if you leave a comment below, I'll get back to you. I'll see you in the next video.